Shana Joseph. I'm a writer, and this is my story.
Shout out Zion behind the boards. On the track too. Clipper, we got another one, nigga. Alright. Now hold up, it's Luke Kane when the boy kick. Step inside the octagon, they won't survive this. Before COVID, bars that were spoken was still sick. Spit shit that's blind to one eye, cause I'm that slick. Get it? The vibe sets in when I step in. If they don't acknowledge the shine, they'll still see it reflected.
My name is Shana Joseph, and I'm from Brooklyn, New York. We're actually on my rooftop. This is where I sit and I come to think and I come to write. I cry. I do everything up here. One, I've always been a good writer. That's just always been a thing of mine. Like in school, I've always did well with that. But poetry, 12 years old, 6th grade, I was just like at the peak of a lot of things. I was growing up in a household where, conversations about mental health, about emotions, about just internal things were not really discussed. And I was like going through all those like changes of preteen years and feeling like, feeling kind of abandoned from my father, insecure, unwanted, like just feeling sad. And, at home I couldn't talk about it. So my cousin actually suggested that I start writing, and she didn't say poetry really, she just said start writing my feelings, and I just started to write poetry, and then I liked it, and I just kept at it until like people started to really notice my writing and was like, were giving me compliments all the time, like about how good I was, and I was like, okay, this is my thing now. A lot of my poems actually in the beginning were very sad because of what, like the source of why I started to write was sad. So my first poem was about being heartbroken. I don't know if it was about my dad. I don't know if it was about some crush. I don't know. I don't remember, honestly, or my mom. I don't know. But I just know that it had something to do with feeling hurt. And I had a metaphor of like wheels turning. And I compared that somehow to like my heart and kind of how your heart has to kind of constantly continue loving, even when it's tired, even when it just feels like it can't. And that was my first poem. I wish I remembered the name of it, but that was really what it's about, just feeling heartbroken. Again, it's just like feeling emotions, like feeling deep, deep emotion. I think I've always been someone who feels emotions in depth that they can consume me. And if I don't release them, I start to feel suffocated. I start to feel like tight, like I don't feel free, and then I'll be like, okay, I have to release this in some way, so let me go write. And usually, like, I'm a night owl. I like to stay up, and that's when all the thoughts come in my head. Like, I can look outside and look at a star and be like, okay, now I'm gonna use the star and like relate it to how I feel. So it just has to do with my environment, what I'm feeling, and just the need to get it out. Two people come to mind when it comes to inspirations, and they're inspirations as far as how I want to present myself or present my work in the world. The first one is Raina Biddy, and she is like the way she writes, it's technically called prose, and the way she writes I think is so expressive, it's so beautiful that I started to kind of emulate my writings like that. And she also started to put out musical projects where she would have instrumentals in the background and she'd be reciting poetry over the beat, and to me that was just a great way to connect to people, and I felt like that got me through a really tough time in college. And one day I want to do that. I want to be able to not only speak what I'm saying, speak my poetry, but I want to have a body where people can download and just listen to and be like, you know what, I'm feeling discouraged today, so I'm going to listen to this track on Shauna's EP or something like that. And second person is Alicia Harris, and she's a spoken word artist and she's a poet. She's written books. She's performed all over the world. And I love her because the way she performs is so passionate. Like, you can see how she expresses herself just through every word, every syllable, like the way her cadences, everything is so relatable to me. And I think what she writes about, a lot of her poetry has to do with love, and a lot of my poetry has to do with love. It has to do with healing. It has to do with heartache. It has to do with pain, and that's where a lot of my stuff comes from. So those two people are definitely like some of my biggest inspirations, and they both have books out, which I'm trying to do myself. So I really love them. I look up to them whenever I'm feeling down. I just need some creativity, or I'm just bored and I want to listen to some poetry. Like, I'll go look them up. I'm working on a few different things, but I'll talk about my book. And this book has been in the works since 2017, and my hope is to have it out by 2021, because I think it's just time to get that story out there. That book has a lot to do with who I was. It doesn't have a lot to do with who I am right now, but that's the point of the book, to tell a story of how I got from, this real broken person, this really broken person who was looking for love in all the wrong places, who I was, like, all the journeys of who I was, like the ups, the downs, the times I didn't recognize myself, the times that I didn't know who I was, and I didn't even have a sense of identity at the time. And that book is really just about evolving through love, and understanding that although I was broken, although I had all these painful things that I wasn't dealing with, I grew to become a woman that I can be proud of, that is on a journey towards healing, and can look back and say, that isn't who I am. That isn't all those things I've done then, all the things I did. That's not who I am. That was a pit stop in a journey that I had to go on. And for me, that book is just a story for everybody. I think anybody can relate to that, to feeling like you're going through something and you don't know what's going on. You're just living days, you're getting up, you're just doing whatever. You're looking for love and friends and boys and all this stuff, and it's just breaking you down. But there comes that moment of rebirth. There comes that moment when you decide, I'm going to try to become a better person, a healed person. And I think anybody can relate to that. And that's just my story. And it's going to touch on, like, kind of the beginning of why I was even a broken person to begin with. What are the childhood traumas and pains that I went through that led to me becoming this wild, crazy person at 19, 20, 21. And then becoming someone that's like, okay, she's doing it. She's doing a thing. Like, she's walking on that journey for herself. So that's, like, the first thing. Another thing I'm working on, I would say, and I shouldn't say working on, but it's something I'm starting to do, is just do more personal accounts of blogging where I tell stories. I mean, I think 2020 was a hard year for everybody, and I think for me, 2020 really, catapulted me into depression. And I really didn't understand what that looked like. I didn't understand how that felt. I didn't know anything until I was having talks with my therapist, and she's like, this is what you're going through, helping me kind of navigate the thoughts in my mind. And I decided to put a blog out because I felt like, for me, that's what I feel like my purpose is to tell my story so that others don't feel alone, and that they feel like they can find their own healing. And I put out this blog, and I got a lot of really good positive feedback from it, about people just saying, you're so brave to tell your story about depression. You're so brave to even be open with the world, with the public. And that touched me, because sometimes it's hard for me to put myself out there. Even though I'm a writer, it's very hard for me to tell my own truth. And that's something that I felt like I'm going to keep doing, even though I did it one time this year. But I feel like I see myself doing that. Whatever I go through in life, I want there to be something that can help another person. If they look it up and say, let me go look at Shana's experience, maybe that can give me the strength to keep going, or the strength to move on, or the strength to just be myself. And I feel like that's something that I'm continuing to work on too. It's funny, because I think anybody who knows me would say doubt is something that I encounter every day. Like, every day I encounter doubt, because it's kind of like I ask myself, who am I to be speaking about depression? Who am I to be speaking about what it looks like to love yourself? Like, who cares what you have to say? Who cares? You're not like this celebrity who's going to have all these people behind you. I often even question the level of my writing. Am I happy with the level of which I wrote, or the way I wrote, or how I ended it? I feel like one of the things that held me back from putting the book out was feeling like I definitely worry about what people are going to think about me, because poetry, for me, a lot of it is coming from, like, what I felt or what I've dealt with. And it's like, you don't want nobody to judge you off of an experience that was really hard for you or really painful for you. And somebody could read it and be like, they'll turn their brow up at it, or they'll have a negative reaction. And you don't want that. And it's hard. And I feel like my book is so emotion filled that I'm like, they're going to be like, this girl is so sad. Like, they're going to have all these things to say. But the reality is I have to start seeing myself how I want to see myself, and just not worry about what other people have to say about my art, because my art is just my art. Like, I'm putting it out for me. I'm not putting it out because I need you to give me validation, you know? Those are the conversations I have to have daily when I have those doubts. But yeah, I mean, I definitely have those every day. Like, I think just being authentic and being honest, sometimes it does get the best of me, and sometimes I'll have to stop writing because, like, I can't get past the thought of doubt. But one of the things I'm learning is just to keep going even if you feel the doubt, because you can't let the doubt cripple you. You can't let you, like, stay stagnant. And, somebody once told me, like, let fear move you rather than, like, keep you stuck, because once you do that, you're just not going to progress. And I feel like, even though, like I said, a lot of things I do in my life, I'm scared about everything. Like, I'm scared. I think the worst, but I just keep doing it. I just keep doing it in hopes that one day I'll become that person that doesn't even have to give doubt 2 seconds in my mind. Like, I'm trying to train my mind to become a whole different entity, a whole different being within myself. So I just got to keep getting over it. Keep doing it even when I'm feeling down about it. During this year, 2020 definitely challenged me a lot. I think the greatest takeaway is just that nothing is guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed in life, and just down to the smallest things that we don't pay attention to. I'm just being thankful to have, like, a roof over my head, or just being thankful to even have a talent, or a way to express myself, because I feel like if I didn't have a way to express myself, I don't know how I would have gotten through this year, because it was definitely hard. And I feel like, for me, I think it made me appreciate every day. Like, it started to really make me feel more gratitude just to live every day, or to feel every day, and to feel like, things may be bad, but at least you got this, or at least you got that. Just, it allowed me to have a different perspective on the world and on my life. But it was definitely hard. But, life, nothing's guaranteed. So if you have any blessing, the smallest blessing, like, take that, run with it, be thankful for it. I lost my job, like, mid-year, and I feel like that really stressed me out. Like, I think being an adult and having to pay bills, the reality of that is, like, it's all fun and cool when you can do it, but when you have to feel like, oh, I have to make sure that I have to pay my rent, I have to make sure that I can go to the market, I have to make sure I can pay my utilities, or just basic things. Like, I like to do things that make myself feel good, and I couldn't do a lot of things that I wanted to do. It really became about necessity, and it was like very hard. I think also being depressed and feeling like I was failing in a lot of different areas of my life, and that affected my work, it affected my creativity. I don't think that I wrote as much as I would have liked to this year, because honestly, just getting through the day was like an accomplishment for me. But I feel like that was definitely one of the biggest things I could say. Personally, I feel like I'm not too hard on myself, but I can step outside of myself and say that I do think that I have the tendency to be too hard. But the reason why I don't think I am is because I feel like if I'm not hard on myself, then I won't get the things that I want, or I won't get the things that I feel like I deserve. And I feel like I have to be hard on myself, because if I'm not, then who else is going to be, And I think what I've learned, though, is to just be kinder about it. Like, be kind to yourself. Be kind about how you're hard on yourself. Like, you don't have to put yourself down to expect more from yourself. You can expect more from yourself, but also be nice to yourself. Like, for example, if I only wrote 3 poems today and I wanted to do 5, I can't be like, oh, you're a failure in my mind. I have to kind of shift that narrative to be like, all right, you did get something done today. Let's rethink why you didn't get those 2 extra poems done, and make a game plan to get it done the next day. So it's like that. I had to change how I was hard on myself, but I don't think I'm too hard on myself at all. I think when you think of an artist, right, you see the finished product and you're like, this is so nice, this is great. Like a painting, a body of music, or a EP or album, something. You just think it's so nice, or they put this together so well. But I think for me, it's like the actual experience that made me write whatever I wanted to write. Like, you don't see the fact that, I'm, up in my own pools of tears or crying, or I'm battling thoughts of negativity or being depressed, or having to go through the actual experience or the events that bring you to create something. I think that's what people don't see. And I don't think people are supposed to see that. I think it's supposed to be like, they're supposed to see the way you coped with it, the way that you created something bigger outside of something that was so detrimental or hurtful. But for me, I feel like people think, like, outwardly I'm fun, like I'm lit, I'm happy, I'm smiley, but the like a lot of the things that I go through behind doors, I battle a lot, especially just how I'm like, my mental is, I go through a lot. I'm very sensitive, very emotional. Like, I don't think people see all that about me. But to me, it's like, it's cool. You don't have to see all that about me. You just got to see what comes out of that. I think when I think about what I want, when I think about this book, of course, I want it to pop. I want it to be successful, but I want it to be a testament to the ability to grow. Like, if you make a decision to grow and make a decision to heal yourself, that it can happen. And I want that. I just want my book to touch people. Like, if it touches one person and it really changes their life, like, to me, I feel like that's was my purpose, that God literally allowed me to write this book and put it out for, because I needed to write something so that this person could read it or this person could read it, and then they have something for themselves. I think, like I said, like, impact is really important to me. Like, it's important about what I'm saying. Like, I don't like fluff. Like, I like things that make people think, things that make people feel. And I think in this generation, we're really starting to make progression towards being aware of our emotions, being self-aware, being aware of our past, being aware of who we want to be. It's not just about the outwardly, the material, it's about who you are inside. And I think my book is really a true example of who you are. It doesn't just, like, you are always going to evolve. And even when you feel like this version of myself that I don't like, or it's messy, it's like, it's crazy, I don't want nobody to see it, that version of you can help become the greatest version of you. And I think that's what I'm thinking about when I think about the impact of my book. My dream is to be someone, and it's kind of very abstract, that, like, in explaining this, but I think my dream is to be someone, and it's so simple, but someone of impact. Like, you think, when you sit down and think about somebody who you can look up to, not somebody who's perfect, not someone who did it all right, not someone who is just completely amazing. I think I just want to be somebody that's real. Like, I want to be somebody that's, like, I'm going to put myself out there into the world in hopes that it just creates something, like, it sparks something in different people. Like, everything that I do, I think, isn't just for me, it's for other people too. And my dream for, like, in my career, my creative, is that, and my dream just for myself is to create a legacy of more, of not only success and what it looks like material wise, but also what it looks like to produce a family that's positive, that's happy, that's thriving, that's aware about their emotions, aware about themselves, that takes the intangible internal things just as important as the external things. And my dream is to just create that, like, is to create that within myself, so that I can create that within my children, and that I can have a family that literally puts that on into the world. No, I'm not chasing fame, because I think I'm very private in a way. So, like, I don't really like people knowing too much about me, which is why it's hard sometimes to put out work. But I think, so honestly though, a lot of people have told me I have this star quality about myself, and I think that it may come, it may not, but that's really not what I'm going for. I'm really just going for the impact. I don't really care if, like, the whole world knows about me, or people are like, let me follow her and see what she's doing with her life. Like, I don't really care about that, because I don't really want people to know the ins and outs of my life. I just want them, like, I think of, like, Beyonce. Like, she's an inspiration to me, because you don't know her life, but you know that she works hard at her craft, and you know that she produces great work. And that's something, like, that's Shana. Like, she's real, she creates good work, she's that person. Like, you don't gotta know, like, what I wore yesterday, what I ate yesterday. You don't gotta know that. I don't care about that. I feel like I don't know nobody from New York who just don't want nothing. Like, I don't think I do. but I feel like it's just designed that way. Like I feel like living in New York is hard, and it just creates go-getters. Like it's either your family, who you're around, your friends, what school you went to. Like everybody's doing something to get somewhere, and I feel like, again, like just having my family as an impact, having people I went to school with, having like even my teachers. I think I was just always pushed. Like I think having people to motivate you and push you is very helpful, and I'm grateful that I got my experience in New York, like my foundation, and it's like you have to like, and I feel like it's true. If you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. Like you really can. So for me, I think New York is just like, it's that hustle. It's that like literally go get it, get up and go get it, go grind. However you gonna do it, and figure it out. And that's just how I think my life literally, I think that's what I had to do this year, 2020. Figure it out, get up every day. You're going to have to figure it out. Like, that's just what it was. You have no option. When I think about what does the future hold, I really just feel like I'm going to become the woman that I've envisioned myself to be since I was a little girl. I envision someone who is driven, focused, faithful, hopeful, positive. These are all things that I'm working on, working to become a better person. I'm already kind, but I want to be kinder to people. Like I want to be more empathetic, more understanding of others. I want to just become a better person overall, and I believe that's coming my way. And I think when you are a good person, everything aligns. Like positivity brings that towards you. And again, my book is gonna come out. I feel like I'm trying to do more blogging. I might start my own blog. You know, there's so much that I think may not be definite, but the world is definitely gonna see more of me, more of my writing, more of my creativity, my art. And however God allows me to express that, that's what I'm gonna do. I don't know if I've had too many people tell me that I can't do something, but I think like when it comes to different paths, like more creative paths, people believe that that's not something that you can do because it's not a path that has like a 1, 2, ABC. It's not an ordered step of how to figure things out when you're creative, when you're a creative. And I think a lot of times people doubt creatives because they don't have like this blueprint of I'm gonna do this to connect to this. It's literally like you stay focused and you keep going and things work out for you. I think you have to understand that sometimes when people say you can't do something, it's really just their mind. Their own mind is limited. Their own mind is limited. It's not even you. Like, it's projection towards you. It's them feeling like they can't do something themselves, so they're telling you that. But I'm learning, and I keep saying I'm learning because really, like, I'm not going to stand here and act like I've learned everything I need to learn. I'm still on a journey, and I'm learning that even when people tell me no, I can't allow it to get into my own head because I already have doubts. I already have that voice that's like, can I do this? Can I not? Like, I question myself already. So I can't allow outside voices to get to me. I'm working on making my inner voice be the most powerful voice that I can hear, but also make it the most positive voice I can hear. So limitations, the projection of it is going to always be there. But it's really how you decide to allow it to affect you. Advice that I would give myself 10 years from now. I would tell her to relax, to breathe, to enjoy life, and to stay positive. That negativity is a seed that once it's fed, that once you water it, it's very hard to stop that growth. Stay positive, live every day, and be thankful and be grateful. And that's what I would remind her. There's so much shit that I have to heal from, and the hard part is realizing that the baggage is even there to begin with. Most people see a girl with a pretty smile and bright eyes, but they often miss my shoulders that seem to hang with the weight of my own skies. There's so much shit to unpack, I'm just not ready to settle in yet. Not ready to move into my own forgiveness, so in the mirror all I see is a reflection of all the things I failed to reflect on. Skin broken from blades ripping across the canvas, I've conditioned myself to stop remembering the triggers. To stop feeling the impact. I could take a knife to my wrist today and it would be like a reawakening of pain. It would be an introduction. I've run from it, hid from it, left it tucked in the roots of the person I constantly try to forget. I've been successful in creating a fantasy. How could I be the advocate of the healing of others but fail to find the glory in my own transition? I guess I find some solace in being the role of being someone's mother, rubbing the evil out their muscle memories, relieving them of experiences that have shortened their breaths. Maybe, just maybe, I find peace in being the one that teaches others how to breathe, even if it means leaving me behind. It's too much to bear for me. I was told that depression is failing to move on from the past, and anxiety is the fear of the future. So what do you call it when the present is the scariest thing you've ever known? Afraid to exist in the moment, have I lived or simply just remained? Coasting along until finally someone leads me out of the maze, from fathers who passed on generational gaps in the essence of love to mothers who could never accept her own smile. Life was just too crippling to find the laughter. From subconscious thoughts that drive my actions to the conscious thoughts that remind me that I have never learned how to be content. I am just. From boys who felt my vibrations and drained my energy to the friends who left me stuck with regrets, I still radiate for you. I walk with conviction that leads you to think I must have it all together. That is nothing but me benefiting from the lack of depth in us. 156 followers and not one knows the real me. Stories are hidden underneath the surface. Beyond the likes, the comments, and the perfectly crafted angle, there's an unspoken voice begging to be heard. Even the ones who cause me pain, they have them too. God forgive them, for they know not what they do, seems to be the repetitive conversation between God and I. I know, hurt people, but I guess in some ways I've been the villain too. So who am I in this world of purity, hidden behind cruelty? Truth is, I don't know. That story is still being written.
Back to the compilation. Niggas really complex, feelings are complicated. Treated it like a study, based on my observation. Jotting down in my mind, classified information. Nigga, when I do make it, tell me congratulations. It took a long time to build me this congregation. Way back when suicide was something I contemplated. Way I done beat depression and flip this rap conversation. I said the type of weight I reabide. I hope I don't get locked. I'm posted with them locs, smoking doobies on the block. Our sense level is high, so we tend to smoke a lot. We share the same pain, cause we really all we got. The type of weight I reabide. I hope I don't get locked. I'm posted with